I'm going to bring in two politicians from both sides of the aisle. Democrat Representative Adam Smith from Washington, Republican Representative Dr. Rich McCormick from Georgia. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
I'm very hurt by the politician remark. I never thought of myself about that as a politician until just now. Thank you so much.
Well, look, my argument to kick this night off was, always finding ways to connect with your constituents. So, look, Adam, let's start with you first. How do you connect with your constituents, other than maybe just the traditional town halls? How do you guys find your best ways to connect?
Well, we do a lot of meetings. We spend a lot of time in the district, and we meet with a wide variety of groups. And also, as you said, I've had many conversations with my constituents at the gym, at the grocery store, at my kids' soccer games, living and being connected to the community. I think part of the problem, though, and Richard and I get along really well. We just spent time in Austin working on acquisition reform and DOD. There are some positive things going on. But I think we need to stop being afraid of being politicians. A politician is someone who is elected to represent people and try to solve problems. I mean, if you accept the fact that if you're a politician, by definition, there's a problem with that, well, then our whole representative democracy kind of falls apart. There's nothing wrong with being a politician. It's like any other profession. You got good ones and you got bad ones. And let's hold people to account and try to make sure that they're doing the right thing for the people that we're supposed to represent.
Representative McCormick, are you one that watches all the social media comments on you?
I can't do it anymore. I tried for a very short period. It just hurt my feelings. I used to be a popular guy. Everybody likes Marines. Everybody likes doctors. Everybody likes youth ministers. Then you become a politician. I was a student body president at a minority university. Everybody loved me. And then all of a sudden you go into politics, and all of a sudden half the United States instantly hates you and says the most vile and disgusting things about you. It really hurt my feelings, actually.
Yeah, social media, nothing really good comes of it. But look, I want to get into the big, beautiful bill, what's going on in Congress. This is a very impactful bill, and especially as it deals with Medicaid, it touches a variety of other things, child tax credits. So if you don't mind, Representative Smith, I'm going to start with you. A lot of criticism on the bill, a lot of anger from the left in terms of, you're going to starve poor kids who can't get their SNAP benefits and all of this. Walk me through some of the biggest concerns that you guys have, and if there's a path to start brokering something.
One of my biggest concerns is this is all supposedly being done because of concern about the debt and the deficit, and the bill actually adds about $2 trillion to the debt as it's currently constructed, in large part because of the tax cuts that are in it. And then there's a very good piece today, I think it was in the Washington Post, about how all of the tax cuts and all of the spending increases happen now, and all of the supposed cuts and tax cuts that go away happen 4 years from now, so that we're going to act like it's not really a problem and it's not adding to the debt. Look, and this is a bipartisan thing, and Richard and I actually talked about this when we were down in Austin. Democrats and Republicans, neither one are being honest about the debt and the deficit. And right now, the budget reconciliation bill with Republicans in charge is just a great example of blowing the doors off the debt and not being responsible.
So, Rich, is there a way, I mean, the $2.5 trillion over 10 years, that's a real number. As folks know, I'm a huge budget hawk myself. I think you would agree. It's a hard argument to make to the American people that we're going to cut back on some programs, but it's still going to cost us a little more.
Yeah, so that's the problem with having like 76% of your budget on mandatory spending. We're not allowed by the Byrd Rule to address Social Security, Medicare. The American people don't really have the stomach to address Medicaid in specific ways, and we're going to address Medicaid, but not really aggressively enough. And the problem is, and this is why I challenge both Republicans and Democrats to do, if you don't have something you're going to cut, what's your solution? I don't think increasing taxes is going to do it. You can't tax your way out of this. You're not going to grow your way out of this. This has to be a controlled spending. We are so high. We're so addicted. We're so far past our pre-COVID spending levels. Every time we have a crisis, we ramp it up, but we don't ramp it back down again. World War II, we had a reason to ramp it up, and then we ramped it back down again. After 2004, it started under Republican President George W. Bush, where we hugely increased government spending, and then we continued that in 2008 when we had a housing crisis, and then we continued again when we had COVID, but we've never come back down and said we're not addicted to spending problems. We are. We have a significant problem, and I'm one of those budget hawks, one of the 32 who signed a letter to the speaker saying enough is enough. Adam and I agree. We did talk recently. I really appreciate that talk, actually. We have to come to an agreement on what we're going to do to solve a real problem, or this next president. It won't come this presidency. But the next presidency, it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican, you're going to see Social Security go bankrupt, Medicare go bankrupt, and the debt crisis will reach a crisis point, which actually you and I talked about in Savannah, too.
Without a doubt, and again, I think this is there's some common ground between all four of us, right? $2.5 trillion, the number's just going up, has to be addressed. And Medicaid, I mean, there's some good parts to it, but we all understand they do need reforms. It's unquestionable. So, Congressman Smith, are there reforms that you would like to see in this bill? Are there good parts to it? Are there salvageable pieces for the left where we can maybe find that common ground and get something done?
Well, I'm certain that there are. I do want to say I do think revenue is part of the issue. The other thing that we've done since 2001 is we've cut taxes repeatedly. And I always point out at this point to my constituents back home, I'm not talking about state and local taxes. State and local taxes, particularly in my state, I think are a significant problem. But on the federal level, we've cut every conceivable tax, and then we cut the IRS, so we can't even collect the taxes we're supposed to collect. So I think revenue is a piece of it, and that is the biggest concern. Healthcare needs to be reformed. We spend twice as much as any other country in the world on healthcare, and yet our results typically rank somewhere between 30th and 40th, in large part because we don't regulate it. We spend money on a wide variety of things that aren't really needed. I'll agree with RFK Jr. on something. I think advertising pharmaceuticals doesn't make any sense at all. I think we have a lot of people taking drugs they shouldn't be taking. The single biggest area that we could find savings is in healthcare, by being smarter about how we spend that money. And that certainly impacts Medicare and Medicaid. It also impacts all the federal employees' healthcare benefits. Federal government pays for a lot of healthcare, and we could be getting more for the money we're spending.
Are work requirements on the table? Is that a possibility for Democrats to say, yeah, especially for the expanded population of Medicaid with able-bodied working adults, we could get there on work requirements?
It's a possibility for me. I can't speak for all Democrats, and you'd have to be really specific about what those work requirements are. But sure, I think that can be part of it, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a change of attack here. So earlier, I think it was earlier today even, former FBI Director James Comey, he posted a message that he saw a bunch of seashells lined up on the beach that said 8647. And now some of my fellow conservatives are taking it as a threat to the president. I guess the big question is a bunch of seashells on the beach a threat to the president? Representative, I'll start with you, Representative McCormick.
Sometimes you guys surprise me. This surprises me. I'm not one of the conspiracy theory guys. There's always going to be people that want to do harm to the president, of course. I mean, there isn't a president who's lived in the last 100 years who hasn't had somebody try to kill him. There's been several presidents who've been murdered over time, and they're going to continue to try to. One seashell number is not going to worry me any more than anything else. There's some real trouble, though. If you look at technologies, if you look at how we can control drones now, how they're very difficult to defeat. You can have wire-guided drones that could loiter in a certain area, waiting for you to facially identify somebody. This is a real security problem. I don't care if you're the president or a Supreme Court justice. This could be instrumental in some really violent things happening in America and abroad. As a guy who's part of the armed services, actually, you're looking at both of us right now. We're worried about the technologies and how it can be used against sitting politicians that could affect the outcome of this great nation.
Yeah. And Congressman Smith, I assume you'd agree, this kind of stuff is just a distraction from real threats, I imagine.
Well, two things. One, I think we need to acknowledge that the threats to elected officials are greater now than they've ever been during my time in service and in the last 30 or 40 years. And we've seen it. I mean, Governor Shapiro's, the mansion was attacked. Paul Pelosi, obviously the two assassination attempts on President Trump. There is an acceptance of violence, I believe, on both the far right and the far left that is deeply problematic. But saying that someone should be deep sixed as a president, I mean, that's part. Richard and I both, we got people who disagree with us. Fire Adam Smith. We need to get rid of him. That's not a physical threat. That's a political threat. And I think 86, 47 cannot be categorized as a threat. And it's not something that the internet and the social media world should be bothering themselves about.
I got to be, it took me a second. I used to work in a restaurant. They used to say 86 the dishes. I don't think it meant assassinate the dishes. I think it meant, hey, Sununu, get these dirty dishes out of here. Gentlemen, cannot thank you guys enough for taking the time. Really appreciate it. A lot of work to be done, but I think America's looking to folks like yourself to find that bridge and actually move the ball forward, especially on a lot of these healthcare issues that are really facing the nation. So thank you guys so much.